Well, folks, we are live here with my old friend Chris Sharp and his right-hand man, the brilliant
Wow.
Phil Lee. Welcome, folks. First, Chris, how you doing? It's been about a year since I saw you for real.
Yeah, it's been quite a while, Jan. I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Yeah, I'm hanging in there, in a pretty large way, I guess. Uh, Phil, how are things in New York?
They're going.
They're going. Well,
Yeah.
that's good. It's better than not going. So
Yeah.
we're here to talk about Chris primarily, and I met Chris back in 86 at the Bluegrass Center, Clyde Franklin's store in Nashville, and Chris was at the time a fiddle player who was a big fan and interpreter of Benny Martin, and of course, I assume most people who would be interested in listening to this kind of live stream would know who Benny Martin was, but he's one of the truly legendary stylists in bluegrass fiddle, in the world of bluegrass fiddle for sure. But Chris, you grew up with your grandfather was a fiddle player, and he knew Benny Martin. Can we start there? That's pretty good
Sure.
start,
Yeah, back in the 50s, his name was Shorty Baston, Bernard Baston, but everybody called him Shorty because he was so tall. I take after him on the height there. But anyway, he lived down in Nashville, and he's actually on those early days of bluegrass volumes that came out.
Yeah, on Rounder.
Yeah.
They did one in volume 7, which was the Saltzman Brothers,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
and he's on several cuts on that.
Really?
Shorty.
I had an idea because I've listened a lot to those old Saltzman Brothers recording on that album,
Well, some of the mandolin playing and the fiddle playing is him.
Wow. I have to go back and listen to that.
Yeah, it's nice. Some of that stuff is what motivated me to get interested in music. But
Yeah.
at any rate, he played music, and he was a fiddler and a steel guitar player. And back when he was playing, there was he used to teach Red Rector mandolin lessons.
He used to teach Red.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, Chris. That's pretty cool.
And back when he was first starting, the word bluegrass there just didn't mean anything other than something in Kentucky, right? And and so he had no idea he was playing what became bluegrass, because that's what
Right.
he was playing with a guy named Big Jeff.
Big Jeff.
Yeah, he was a fixture down in Nashville during those days in the 50s. And he would play some days, and then other days Benny Martin would play for Big Jeff. So they would alternate. Who was going to play fiddle. And they got to be good friends. And so that got me in with Benny. Shorty died when I was 7 years old, long before I started playing music.
Right.
Or I think I might have played piano a little before then, like one lesson. But that's the only memory I have is a single lesson. But yeah, Shorty, he died when I was 7. But my memories of him do include him playing fiddle and me bouncing on it. He had a big tummy, and I'd bounce on his tummy. But I remember him standing out in his front yard playing the fiddle.
Wow.
And that's pretty much my only memory. I've got cassette tapes of him playing in the 80s, or in the late 70s, actually. He died in 1980.
Okay.
And I learned a lot of my earlier fiddle playing off those tapes.
Yeah.
Before I met George Buckner.
Yeah.
And that's who got me into Benny. I mean, I knew who Benny was, but I wasn't particularly studying him until I met George.
Mm-hmm. Because of those classic 1953 recordings.
Yeah. George, I'd ask him. We talked about this, I think, during the last time I was on one of these casts with you.
Yeah.
And George I'd asked him if I could be in his band, and he said, "You're going to need some more work." and he'd send me off to study these Benny Martin recordings.
Yeah.
And so a lot of that was a lot of my working on Benny Martin stuff it was really hard work, not because it was difficult, but because I was very motivated to do it because I wanted to be in that band.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not realizing that I was already in the band.
So that was you and Lawrence Dillingham and
Greg Eubanks.
Yeah, Greg Eubanks, that's right.
Nick Chandler was a member of that band.
Yep.
And so
pretty stout band.
It wasn't a bad band. It was definitely a good place for me to get it started.
Yes, sir, indeed.
It wasn't the first group I'd played with. It was the second group, but it was that's when things started getting really serious for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So will you remind people what the name of the band was?
The Tar Heel Bluegrass Boys.
The Tar Heel Bluegrass Boys. There's a video.
They were good. I mean, Lawrence Dillingham, it's really hard to find anybody better than Lawrence Dillingham.
Yeah.
He's a great musician.
He sure
still is. I mean, he's the house guitar player for the Shindig on the Green band.
Yeah. It takes a stout guitar man to get that job, you know. And he is one.
Oh, yeah. If you ever look at his hands when he plays, even just if you couldn't see anything but his hands, you'd notice some authority, man. When he plays the guitar, there's a lot of authority in his hands. Right.
Yeah.
And his technique is just, I've always aspired to have as good a technique as Lawrence Dillingham.
Mm-hmm. Maybe we should see if well, I should have called him earlier. I didn't think about it. Try to see if we can get in touch with George. You know, that would be good.
Well, I did text George, and he's unavailable today. So.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, I'm bad at planning, you know. I'm sure.
You're not bad at planning. I think the best planning is no plan.
Yeah, that's right. So, Chris, you have been quite a traveler, and you left Asheville, and then you and George Buckner together moved to Nashville, or were you in the Navy first, or how?
Yeah, I was in the Navy.
Lost touch with you for a few years there after I moved to Raleigh.
You moved to Raleigh, and then I guess when I was 19, I joined the Navy.
That's right. Okay.
And I was out in California for a couple years, and then I left the Navy, and George actually flew out to California and helped me drive home.
Okay.
And we drove back. It was a heck of a drive. We drove back in 48 hours straight, just me and him. California, wow. Yeah, San Francisco, California to Asheville in 48 hours.
It's pretty good, I have to say.
We did stay one night in Oklahoma City, and it was the night before the Oklahoma City bombing.
Yeah.
So that's some, heck of a coincidence in my opinion. We got to my grandmother's in East Tennessee, and that was all over the news, and we just left there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's 25 years, going on 26 years ago. So you and George ended up pretty soon, I guess, in like an inside circle there around some of the legendary first generation bluegrass people like Earl Scruggs.
Yeah, we moved to Nashville after I got out of the Navy. Both of us did. Actually, Kevin Sluter moved down there with us.
Okay. And
I think Lawrence might have been down there for a while too.
Yeah.
And so all of us were down there, and George and I and Kevin as well, we became barflies at the Station Inn.
Mm-hmm.
So that got us acquainted with the majority of the bluegrassers in the Nashville area.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Okay, so you've traveled in Japan a good bit.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me? I got somebody here, a special guest, And so let him in here.
Watanabe-san. Ohayo gozaimasu. Kikoenayo.
Hey, Toshi, I think your microphone is muted.
I don't think he can hear us either.
Okay. Speaking of him, we have another special guest here.
There he is.
Yeah. So, Mr. Taterbug, how you doing?
All right. What in the world is going on here?
Well, we're having a little connection issues with Japan, but hello,
Toshio, how are you doing? I don't think Toshio can hear us.
Yeah. Well,
He just disappeared.
Yeah. That was almost magical. He kind of just vanished.
Hey, y'all,
In a frame.
I listened to some or watched some videos on YouTube earlier of the John Hartford band.
Hey, Jan, I'm going to interrupt you just for a second. Since you brought Mike here,
Yeah.
That's a very appropriate choice, since we were just talking about when George and I used to live in Nashville. Mike's one of the people that would come visit us at our house.
Wow.
And it was usually us going to other people's houses, but Mike would come and visit us at our house, and that was a lot of fun.
That was good to see Chris and George and the metronome.
Yeah, and the metronome.
It's hard to find a good metronome anymore.
And they would do everything to the metronome. They'd eat supper to the metronome, just walk around the house, just have it going in the background all the time.
I believe you.
I thought maybe you could buy him a cat or something.
Hey, George Buckner and Chris, and then went down to see Horace Scruggs, Earl's brother, one time, and George came back to the Bluegrass Center and told me that when Horace slammed the door, he could hear a certain tone quality that only Scruggs could generate.
You know, there was a trick that we used to do. It was one of the metronome we had was it was about the size of a deck of cards, and it was one of those that had the big dial in the middle. And if you timed it just right, then between the clicks you could turn the knob, and you wouldn't be able to tell it missed a beat. But if you have it going all day long and you're listening to it all day long, let's say it's sitting on 120 and you're hearing this all day long, even if somebody synchronizes that perfectly, you can still you get so sensitive to it that one beat a minute is like drastic. It's like it's not like any sort of audible noise took place, so you can just tell that it got slower. And that's the reason we were doing that anyway, was to build that kind of listening.
Yeah. So
it may be a little excessive, I'm not sure, but
just a touch.
Chris can really
does work.
As you all know, he can really get into the molecular level of things for sure. This rhythm guitar, everything. So it's always a learning experience to be around him.
Chris was known in the Hartford string band as the professor of profundity. He would only make profound statements, and then he'd say, "And that's just the way it is."
Yeah. That's the Asheville way, you know.
I don't remember a single thing I said, but
I don't either.
I'm embarrassed regardless.
I just remember you saying that. So, well, that's just the way it is. John would laugh and he'd say, "Oh, all right."
So, Chris, tell us about the Hartford experience, and how did you get involved in the John Hartford band?
So the way that happened, Mike had been playing with John for I don't know, several years by the time I ended up there.
Mm-hmm.
After George and I left Nashville and went back to Asheville, maybe a year later, I started doing some work with Josh and Kenny, and I decided I didn't want to commute anymore, so I wanted to move back down there again. And
Josh Graves and Kenny Baker.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so I decided to move back to Nashville, and the first thing I did when I got there was to call John, and he had told me when you get down here, call me. So I did, and he said, "Well, I'd like to get together sometime, but I'm about to go on tour. Can you call me in 3 weeks?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." So I called him. He said, "Well, you know what? I'm going on this other tour." And I was like, "Well, man, this is really taking a while." But he said, "You can join me if you want. We're going to be up in Norris, Tennessee." And so I said, "Yep, I will be there." And Larry Perkins and I got in my old, I think it was an old Chevy, maybe it wasn't in the 60s, but it certainly old. And we got in this old pickup truck and we drove to Norris. And I remember going in the Golden Girls. Was that the name of it, Mike?
Oh, yes.
The Golden Girls, and John and Mike were in there.
Is that a house of ill repute or something?
No, it's a cafe.
After the cafe.
The aftercare.
So I went in there and they were playing fiddle tunes, and John pulled up a seat, or there somehow or another I got right there beside John and Mike, and a couple of tunes got played, and then Mike, you can correct me if my memory's making stuff up right now, but I recall John just blurting out, "This is what I've been looking for. This is the sound I've been after." Just not me, but the combination of what was happening, him and me and Mike. And
I've heard him say that before. Yeah.
Well,
and at that point, he hired me pretty much on the spot, and the next day I did all the shows I think I did all of them, but at any rate, he said, "No, don't quit your job. So whatever you do, don't quit your job," which was very good advice. But yeah, that's how I got involved in that band.
Yeah. So you had different players, different bass players. You had Larry Perkins on bass and Mark Schatz.
Gene LeBay.
Okay, Gene. Yeah, he's great.
Dennis Crouch.
Oh yeah, he's another great one.
Jerry McCurry.
Jerry McCurry was on there for a while. Darren Vincent.
Darren Vincent, yeah.
Wow.
Didn't Missy Raines play with John for a while?
Not that I know of.
Okay. I don't know where I got that from. Kent Blanton certainly played with us.
Yeah, he did. He did a few times. Yeah, I went out on a one trip with John where he had Lightning Chance. And I don't think either one of them stopped talking the whole time.
Lord have mercy.
My God, I'm gonna go crazy.
And then
Roy Husky, of course, before I joined the band, Roy Husky had been in the band, and that's Roy was one of the people that I met in Nashville, but I never got to strike a note with him, and regret's the wrong word, but I really wish that I had an opportunity to play music with him, but it never happened. Went over there with Benny Martin. In fact, the only time I ever met him was just a few weeks before he died. As they say in Tennessee, I carried Benny over there. and we went and saw him, and it shook Benny up real bad. Benny was terrified of dying anyway, and seeing somebody that close to the edge, it shook Benny up pretty bad.
Yeah. It seems like the first time I ever saw Roy was a session that was going on. I think John was doing that record that might have been No End of Love, that album.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember Roy standing with his one of his many basses at the soundboard. He wasn't getting the volume on some of the notes that he wanted. It's like his bass wasn't uniformly pumping out the sound, and he got the mic on the console and played the notes, and then he watched the dials to see how hard up the needle was going, and then he would play the note, figure out which ones that he had to play harder and how much harder to match the volume and the punch. And he says, "Okay, I think I've got it." And he went in and cut the tracks, and of course it all matched up at that point in time. But I just thought, wow, what's he doing? He was, but he was that way. And I ended up when I lived over on McAlpine. He lived about like just 3 or 4 blocks down the street from me, and used to ride a little like a Honda 50 up the road once in a while with a helmet on it. It was like Roy sitting up on top of this little tiny, looked like a clown motorcycle riding down the street.
Gosh, that must have been a 50. That's like for a kid, right?
It was a little tiny motorcycle. It looked like, about that size. Yeah. But he just lived right down the street there for a while.
Wow. I've been to your house over on McAlpine. You used to have those parties in the backyard.
Yeah.
A lot of fun.
Do you remember going to a private gig that we went to a guy's house, and seems like we asked him about using his bathroom, and he ran down the hall and hid his wallet.
If I remember it, it's not coming to me, but
I was thinking that you were on that gig. It was me, and I was thinking it was you, and I believe Perkins was on it, but he didn't have a really good image of musicians. He went down the hall and hid his wallet before we went in the bathroom.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you both were in the movie or in the soundtrack for the movie "O Brother, Where Art Thou," and that's what you were both on the tour. I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because Mike, I think I saw you. Maybe it was another time. You played here in Cary at some. Alison Krauss was on there.
There were 2 tours.
Yeah. So okay, that's right.
I was not on the second one, but I think you were, Mike.
Yeah, I was on all that stuff, and then the one after that, the next year, I guess.
Mike, somehow I have some recollection of me and you, and that we bought some flowers for your mother, maybe, or do you remember? Was it her birthday, or were you looking for a florist? I
don't remember.
Yeah.
That's too far back. I don't. That brain cell is dead.
Yeah, that's
The severed synapse.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But that must have been quite an experience to be around all those musicians. And how was it traveling?
I don't know what you want to hear.
Well, I mean, just you can describe it, I guess, on different levels, well, for example, where did y'all perform? And
So look, the first one was about a month and a half, wasn't it, Chris? It was shorter than the one that came after it. Was 3 months long.
Yeah, it seems like it. I mean, we would do a lot of things in these auditoriums, which I liked a whole lot more than festivals or bars, personally. It's not like we didn't do those things, but a lot of John's stuff would be in larger auditoriums. But we played Steamboats. I mean, I think there was one time when we played in front of this train. Do you remember that? There was some kind of a street festival, Mike, and a train came by, and John incorporated the train into the show by playing Orange Blossom Special.
Play Orange Blossom, yeah.
and it wasn't like it was kind of way off going by. No, it was not like way further than that wall is. I mean, it was right behind us. Were you on that one, Mike?
I don't remember. I don't remember that.
I was on another one with him, and it was just me and him. And this was a house gig as well, and it was right after I'd first started. And I don't know why it was only me and him, but it was just us. And I remember he's like, I've got to go to the bathroom. And we're on stage in this guy's living room. And he looked at me and said, I've got to go to the bathroom. He's like, don't do anything. And so he took off. And sure enough, man, these people started pressuring me like, play us a song. Do something. I was like, I don't know. And right about the time I was about to cave in, he showed back. You didn't do nothing, did you? No. Didn't do a thing.
Don't say anything. I don't want to miss anything.
John was very picky about his shows, how they went.
I remember you and me on stage at Grand Targhee at night playing a show, and it being a little bit chilly, and John got all these people out in the grass out in front of us doing one of those fake square dances like he used to do. Then got off the stage and went down and started mingling around with us, and just left us on stage. We played Sally Gooden for about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh my God, how long is this going to go on? But he finally came back. But it's just, he said, y'all keep playing. And he's gone.
That reminds me of that Grand Ole Opry story.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the best stories. Well, John had been invited to play the Opry, and he would like most people his age that were in Nashville. That was the holy grail. I mean, for him being asked to be on the Opry, that was the deal, and so he took it very seriously. And at the time that this event happened, he was doing his solo thing, and he had this mic that he wore, a wireless thing, so he would be able to jump out into the audience and walk up and down the aisles and play his songs and do that sort of thing. So he's on the Opry, and they they introduce him, and he comes out and he starts playing this song, and he apparently just jumps off the stage and he starts walking out into the audience, and the next thing he hears is the announcer saying, well, there goes John Hartford. And they brought out the next band, and he was super pissed off at the sound guy and everything. And it turned out that he had just not turned the microphone on. And so when he jumped off the stage, it was like he vanished completely.
And he was on the air. He was like nationwide radio. And the guy said, well, there goes John Hartford.
Yeah.
I think the guy, it was partly John's fault, and partly there was a guy there with him that had a box of some kind that had, as they say, antennas on it that it was supposed to boost the signal. But John was playing, we go back to this thing and then it would go out over the air, and I think that the guy that was man in the box was asleep at the wheel, and they just didn't get it together, and John wasn't invited back to the Opry for years after that. But we did end up playing it again, and he was so nervous. I was standing just right behind him, and I was watching him doing his, the songs that he has done just like for years and years, and you could see the muscles in his face were just trembling like they were that but he wasn't showing because he was moving and everything, but he looked like he was scared to death.
Yep. Yeah, he really had a lot of reverence for the Grand Ole Opry.
Yeah.
Huge deal for him.
Now it shook him up, and it really hurt his feelings that he wasn't, that he couldn't get back on because of that. They thought, he had just kind of just went off and did something weird, but he had the whole thing planned up, and it didn't come off. And they didn't invite him back for a long time, and it really bothered him.
I think he got vindicated, though, after we did that one of those Opry shows. I know he called me the next day, and he was just torn. I'm sure he called you, too. He was torn up because Jimmy Martin had called him and said, he said, I heard you on the Opry, and I guess we played Love Grown Cold.
Mm-hmm.
He said, that's the only time in 50 years they played real music on there. And so that really that stoked John up a lot when he heard that.
Good old Jimmy.
Did you ever play with Jimmy Martin, Mike?
Yeah, a little bit. Not officially. He would come down to Station Inn every once in a while, and I think the first night he came down, and I'd never seen him before, never met him. I was flabbergasted because I loved his singing. You know, he got up on stage and sang. I think he tried to hire everybody in there that night. Yeah. But it was interesting, you know. What a brilliant singer he was, and just a sense for being able to play that music. You know, I didn't know anything about it, you know, in his personal life and all that. It's like Jimmy, and I thought, whoa, this guy's a heavyweight.
Yeah. Phil Lee, how did you tell me how you got up or met up with Chris? How did you become aware of him?
Of Chris Sharp?
Well, that would be a good answer for you. I was actually asking Phil.
This guy?
Yeah, right. That guy right there.
Yeah.
Phil Lee. He's from the state of New York. He's from the same county as my son-in-law.
Yeah.
The county again?
Westchester.
Westchester. Yes, right.
Yeah.
So how did
probably, I'd say sometime in early 2016 or late 2015, I saw the video series that Chris had made on YouTube that teaches how to play Lester Flatt's style of guitar.
Yeah.
And at the time, you know, I'd seen Lester play on those Flatt and Scruggs Martha White shows, and I heard his G run and I thought, you know, it sounded really good. At the time I could, you know, only play guitar a little bit, and I didn't even know like what Lester was doing, but when I saw Chris's videos, you know, I learned about, you know, picks, how to, you know, tune a guitar, how to play in time. Those videos taught me the basics of all of those elements, and of course, you know, Chris and I worked. He taught me extensively later on about all of those topics. But you know, once I had watched all of the videos, and you know, I felt like I had learned, I had gotten some grasp of the material therein. I contacted Chris, and at some point he got back to me, and we had it was a while, I gotta say. We had a Skype call, and the first thing he told me actually was to start playing with a metronome, and that was the first thing. Yeah.
I get inspired by that metronome, and you know, I had sort of forgotten about the metronome, kind of, and then so for a while there, when we used to see each other about once a week, you know, I kept playing with the metronome or this whatever click track, and then of course I've slacked off a little bit. Now I haven't seen Chris in person in a long time, so I'd like to get back into school here. And
don't worry, I'm using the metronome enough for both of us, Jan.
Yeah, well, I wish it worked. I could use it. So
I've graduated. I've got this drum machine. It does more for me than just a click. It's really interesting. Right. It's got all these bossa nova and Latin beats, and I turn this thing on and I'll pick a song, and then sometimes I'll just close my eyes and I'll click around until it gets to a random beat and a random tempo, and then whatever it comes up with, then I'll just play the song to that.
Yeah. Is that a Les Paul in the background?
It is, right there.
Wow. Okay, what do you play on that?
Oh, It depends. I
Do you
mean,
play both country and western, or? Sorry, that was stupid. Sorry.
Here.
Yeah. Here.
I've got this distortion pedal and this delay going, and I've been experimenting around with different sounds.
Yeah. What I tell you what, grab that acoustic guitar and sing a number for us. You know, that's.
I can surely try to do that for you.
And I wish we could all play a number together. You know, but
Well, sing a number. What is this, Sesame Street?
yeah. I think I'm into this participating, and we're gonna hand out the beer cans filled with gravel. You know, so everybody have their own little rhythm section.
Now, I just remember that Dave Chappelle line where he's talking about the Count and being a pimp. If you've never seen that, look up Dave Chappelle, Count, Pimp, and watch the clip. It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Program is brought to you by the number 69.
Yeah, try to keep things family. Yeah, sounds mighty good there.
Let's see.
And what is this guitar again?
This is a 1969 D16.
D16.
No, it's not a D16. D21. It's Brazilian. Back
Okay.
size. I don't know how. There we go.
Have you had that one for a while, or?
Yeah. Too bad we lost Toshio. I bought it off him.
Yeah.
Who is this?
I bought this at Toshio's house. I think he was holding it for somebody else, but
You're a good friend.
yeah, he is. He had it laying in a closet, and he was showing it to George Buckner. And I went in there, and it was in the case. And I walked up to it, and I was like, "How much you want for that?" And I bought it right then, and I've had it since then. Well, I'm gonna do something outlandish here and turn on my metronome.
All right.
Big, so yeah, we're surprised.
Let me know if this is too loud. It's piped through, so you'll be able to hear it just as well as I can. Is that too loud?
Just so
Darling, I'm all alone in a little mountain home. It's only cold and lovely outside. There's a childish vow of love lasted only one short year. Then you went away to be another bride. You'll never know the pain that I felt the day you left. Should you well again, let me wish you nothing. Now that same old whippoorwill breaks the silence on the hill as I stand and gaze upon the faded wall where your picture used to hang in a little gold frame, and the image of your smile I still recall. You will never know the pain that I felt the day you left. Should you ever wed again, let me wish you love and well.
That's
Yeah.
very, very nice and robust performance there, I think. Mike, were you playing along there on the old tater bug? Yeah. What do you got your Gilchrist there, or?
That
Yeah.
oval.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Man.
Is that the red one?
Yeah.
I thought you sold that mandolin.
Hell no.
So is that what
Crazy.
is that a like your main mandolin? Is that what you like to play the most, or?
I've had that since 2003, and it had a set of tuners on it that wasn't very good. It was an older set of Waverleys that weren't installed just right, and I never could get it in tune. When we get close, and then one whack and the strings would just go everywhere. And Lynn Dudenbostel talked them into sending me a new set, and I got them on there, and I can tune it up. And I just had never played it very much at a time, so I decided I would just, because have been at home so much, I would just commit to it and play it every day. I've been playing it every day for about the last 3 months, and it's really come around a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's turned into be quite something. So it's just, always wanted one, and I've got one, and I just didn't play it because I couldn't. The tuning drive me crazy.
Yeah.
I've never been able to tune as well in tune as Chris can. It's just, whatever it is. He always sounds like he's in tune. I always sound out.
Yeah, I can relate to that, especially the fiddle.
I've got this this little clip-on strobe tuner that I use, but I'm fortunate to have that guitar set up pretty well. And if I get strings on it and get it in tune, then it tends to stay in tune. I don't generally have to touch it much. I know when I start having to tune it, I've got to change the strings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Usually, my mandolins, it usually is out a little bit anyway. It's always sharp in the morning. I tune it all down, and then I have to tune it up all day long to keep it in pitch. And the next day, it's all sharp, and I have to tune it down and start all over again. But yeah, and whenever
poltergeist or something.
Yeah, well, I don't know. It's all the mandolins I have are that way. It's something to do with like barometric pressure or something. I don't know, or maybe it's gremlins. I don't have any idea.
You still in Franklin, Tennessee?
No, never was.
No, but there's one of those very similar names.
Mount Juliet.
I'm thinking about Dan Hayes.
Yeah, just like it. Yeah.
Just like you, Mike. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm becoming more and more geriatric, so I have to. And then I've lived a pretty unsound life in that respect.
Mount Juliet, that's good. I mean, because if you want to go visit somebody in Mount Juliet, and you're coming from our direction, you don't got to fight Nashville traffic.
Yeah.
No, it's getting to the point where we have to fight Mount Juliet traffic. Everybody is moving out here, and they're building apartments fast as they can put them on the ground. So it's kind of messing it up.
Yeah. Yeah. You lived in downtown, Chris, always in Nashville when you were
Nashville. I get not really downtown. I mean, kind of. Then I'm sure it used to be known as a suburb, Inglewood.
Yeah.
Mike and I, it was more than a few blocks, but it was walking distance if you really needed it.
Yeah.
That neighborhood out there, Inglewood, used to be. It was out of town. There was a bunch of old houses out there that were built as summer homes for people that lived in Nashville, and it wasn't that far. But you remember Lester Armistead told me that whenever he was lived in Nashville, that Gallatin Road was a gravel road.
Wow.
And so that was just sort of like a country road that that went north out of town, and so that people would just go and hang out in Inglewood in the summertime just to get out of town. It ain't that far, but I guess back whenever it was originally settled, it was a carriage ride.
I'd say it was a lot farther since they probably didn't have many bridges. Because you can't get across that river. It's a haul. It probably had to do some sort of ferrying to get over to Inglewood.
There used to be a couple of small ferry boats. Well, I remember when I first moved to town in '77, to get across those rivers, you could go down to there was a couple of ferries still running, and we used to do it on Sunday just for the fun of it.
Did they have the bridge from McGavock across to Raleigh when you first moved down there?
There was no Raleigh.
I know that wasn't there, but I mean they still had a bridge across the river right there.
Yeah, there was.
It was gone by the time I got there, but so it was still there when you moved there?
I think so. And there was another one that was down on a sort of like a one lane road that only held like 2 or 3 cars that went back and forth. And it seemed like it was one of the last ones to go. It was just there because people just like to get and ride across it.
I used to go fishing there with Laura Weber, right there where the bridge had been, and you couldn't see anything except like what looked like attachment points for something. It must have been the posts for the bridge, but that was all I remember being able to see that was left. But we'd go to the end of McGavock, and there's a little ramp or something, and we'd sit down there and fish.
Yeah,
I don't remember catching anything, but
you wouldn't want to eat anything. You got it out of that river anyway.
No, don't eat nothing out of that river.
Speaking of rivers,
Not on purpose.
John Hartford was big into the river boats. Do you have any? Did you ever go on a ride with him or anything?
We rode back to town on the General. What was it? General Jackson, or it was another boat. Had one smokestack on it. Delta Queen, I think. We rode back from one gig, and they gave us all a ride back, and we had cabins just to sleep.
Wow.
Got on and talked, to them pretty much all the way back. It seemed like we got a little place to lay down and sleep for a while on the way back, because we got back in the middle of the night.
The only time I was on the Delta Queen was, and I actually got to drive it. I think you were on it that time too, Mike, when we were up in the pilot house and we got to drive a little while. And that was coming down the Mississippi. We started out in Michigan and we coming down to Mississippi going somewhere.
I remember ended up having to stay with the bus one time while y'all went out and rode on the boat. So I ended up with me and Jerry McCurry. And one of us had to stay and watch the bus, and I didn't want him to have to sit there by himself, so I just stayed with him. I don't think you were in on that at that point.
Might not have been. Yeah, this thing with the I guess it was the Delta Queen. It was whichever one John used to be on when he had his license. He was a deckhand or something.
Oh,
it was a smaller one. It wasn't a big boat.
Julia Bell Swain.
Okay, that would have been it then. And is there a place called Peoria in Michigan or Minnesota or one of them places up there?
Peoria.
I can't. It seems like it was in the United States. It starts with M, and it was at the head of the Mississippi, and that's where that boat was. And then,
well, that was a privately owned boat. Julia Bell was. Well, it was actually bought by somebody. It seems like there were 2 of them. There was this, best I remember, which may be completely off base, but that one got bought by somebody, and John didn't have access to it anymore.
well, I can't remember. I ought to remember because I know at the time it was quite historical for me because I'd been hearing about this thing in his songs every time we got on stage, and there we were on it, and so it was like, wow, this is it. It was like meeting a movie star or something.
Well, that was really cool. All those people that worked the river knew John, and you know, of course, he was always real friendly with him, and Al hung out and talked about boats, and we got to stomp around on a lot of real cool historic old riverboats because of John's love of it, and I would have never been able to do any of that, or you know anything about them, be on them, much less if John hadn't been around. We got to go up in Pilot House a couple of times and just sit and listen to all of them talk about how they would turn the curves. And they sat under a bridge one day and watched barges come in, and they'd talk about now if I was coming around that turn, I'd take it, go around that way, and then cut back across this, you know, and just listen to them talk about all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those kind of conversations, they kind of, I would just kind of not mean to, but dial out, you know?
Yeah. Well, that's where John started talking about that guy that stuck his head in the Pilot House and just said, I just won't look up in there.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that, because when you first started talking about it, I remembered that song. It's on the Walls We Bounce Off Of. It's my favorite song on the whole record.
Mm.
Have you heard that, Jan?
I can't think of it. No, I don't think so. No.
Well, the thing starts with the phone ringing. He's sitting there tuning the banjo. John liked to do all the things that you're not supposed to do. So he's on his record, tuning his instrument, and then the phone rings, and he takes the phone call on the record. And I'm fairly convinced that was all staged. But he he takes the phone. He says, "Well, I'm right in the middle of making a record. Yeah, I call you back." And then he said, "All right, bye." And then this song kicks off, and it's this guy.
Yeah. I just won't look up in there.
Yeah, I just want to open the door, look in there. Obviously, I'm doing a terrible job, but you can look that up. It's on a John Hartford record called "The Walls We Bounce Off Of," and it's a lot of fun. That song is. There's a lot of quirky songs on that one.
So he recorded at least 2, maybe 3 albums with really heavy and old time fiddle music there, with those Kentucky Goldforth and all those. Were you all part of those records?
No.
He's talking about Wild Hog and the Red Brush, and
Right.
the other one around the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speed.
Yeah, Speed of the Old Longbow.
Yeah.
Good Old Boys. Is that one? Was the name of one of them? Was it Good Old Boys?
Well, Good Old Boys was the one that had all the vocal songs he had written. That was the first one I was on.
Hmm.
It had the green cover, and it had like I think the TV song that may or may not have made it, but it was we recorded it at Wes's place in Winston-Salem.
Yeah. I remember that. Remember that, all the goings on at that hotel.
Was it near a Waffle House?
No, it looked like there was a bunch of foolishness going on at that hotel.
Well, John, I don't know whose idea that was to have us record. He lived in Nashville, where the best recording studios we could have found are, yet we drove all the way to Winston-Salem. And at the time, it didn't make any sense to me, but it didn't take long till I got it. Basically, by the end of that session, I understood why he did that. If you park your bus in front of the recording studio and you bring your band there, they ain't got nothing to do. So they're going to be much more willing to stay in the studio and play music half the night, because there's nothing else to do. If you're in Nashville, then they're in a big hurry to take off and get back home.
Yeah.
It was a real smart move. You get a lot more for your money.
Yeah, it's like an ambulatory or work camp or something, labor camp.
Yeah, well, it was also Wes was somebody that Bob Carlin knew, and that was part of it too.
So whose studio was it? Wes? Who's that?
What's his last name? Chris?
I can't remember his last name.
I can't.
Easter.
He's I know what he looks like. He wears glasses. I can almost see him. Definitely know what he looked like that time Larry Perkins was trying to kill him.
It made some kind of impression, you would think.
Big impression on Larry.
I mean, you know, I'm jesting. He didn't try to kill him, but there was definitely some conflict there that it's hard to forget.
Oh Lord. Oh Lord.
Yeah. Mike, there is a video with you and I guess Vassar and Hartford, and you're doing some like a blues number. You sing it solo, and you play like a tenor guitar or something.
Tenor guitar, Kalamazoo tenor. Yep.
Yeah. Phil, can you find that? Phil, can you find that video and pull it up? You're very smart with these links and stuff.
That was in Albany, New York.
Albany, New York. Yeah.
In the egg.
Well, Chris, you were on there.
Is that the thing with Vassar and Norman and
Sam Marsh, Bob Carlin?
Oh, is that like Troy Savings Bank or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's at a bank.
Oh, in the bank? Okay. Well, I know it seems like we did something in Albany too.
Yeah.
I remember going to Niagara Falls. The only time I've been there was with you guys.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what song that would be.
That was Going Down Slow.
There's several.
Going down slow.
Going down slow.
I've had my fun.
Oh, here we go.
I heard that. I think I might have come across the original. I get Spotify. I'll pick some song, and then I'll listen to the song, and I'll let Spotify just take it from there. And it's pretty good at. If I listen to it for 4 or 5 days straight, I usually find at least one song that I really like.
Ray Charles has got a real good version of that. It's real slow, and it's almost sounded like he started to cry in the middle of it. But the version, the first one I heard was Matt Lipscomb's version of it.
Mm-hmm. That's old school.
Yeah.
You said Going Down Slow.
That's one I've heard. I heard Ray's, but
send me the link if you
honestly.
Yeah,
I never. That's one of the Rays that I didn't get into as much as some of the other ones. And I guess I was so used to hearing your version too. You get used to hearing something a certain way, and it doesn't really matter to me sometimes to hear it any other way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should have gotten it, Jan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me see.
Facebook.
Yeah, I see it.
Shoot, we ought to just get him do it right now.
Yeah. That would be even more value.
What's that?
I said I can't sing it. I've been sick.
Oh, okay.
My throat's
I think
all.
we can.
Well, it sounds pretty
See if
good.
I can check.
You sound like
I'm gonna try.
You sound just like him.
Sounds just like me.
I'm gonna see if I can fix. We might be able to share this screen.
Oh, there's bound to be something more fun to watch than that.
I thought it was powerful, man.
Oh yeah. Oh Lord.
Can you see this?
I bought that.
I can see it.
I bought that tenor off of eBay. I was bidding on it, and somebody else had beat me out of it. And I emailed the guy that beat me out of it. And turned out it was Grisman. And I asked about it, and he says, "Hey man, it's me, the dog. Send the dude the cash, and it's yours, man."
Wow.
Yeah, man.
So you're referring to himself as the dude?
I forgot who the guy was, but where he was, but it was a real nice plywood, golden colored plywood tenor, and I ended up selling it years later. I wish I had it back now.
Yeah, but let's take a little listen to this thing. I love that. Love it.
We'll send this out to Terry Eldridge wherever he might be.
Oh no.
I'm going down slow.
Oh, yeah.
I've done had my fun. If I don't get well no more, I've done had my fun. If I don't get well no more, oh, my health is failing me. I believe I'm going down slow. I want you to write my mother, tell her the shape I'm in. I want you to write my mother, tell her the shape I'm in. Tell her to pray for me, forgive me for my sin. I don't send no doctor, he can't do no good. I don't send no doctor, he can't do no good. It's all my fault now, mama, I didn't do the things I should. Next train sounds like mama. Look for my clothes home. Next train sounds like mama. Look for my clothes home. If you don't see my body, all you can do is call. I don't mind anymore. This is all in my prayer. I don't mind mama. This is all in my prayer. You know your sunny day. No, not just going somewhere.
That's pretty strong.
Now I just want to go kill myself.
I would be proud of that, Mike. You know that's your roots there in Meridian. Did you grow up around any, or were any blues, like real blues singers?
No.
Guitarists?
No, not a bit. That's all over was on the western side of the state. Yeah. I was about 30 miles from Alabama.
Yeah. Well, there was some mighty fine picking there, and I think everybody got into spirit a little bit there, you know.
I was enjoying watching Hartford's face listening to Vassar play. Just standing there with his mouth open, and really just.
Yeah, he's so oily and slick, and you know, just I love Vassar.
I remember that night, Sam came out and did a solo set, and he did a couple of Robert Johnson songs with just him and the mandolin. I was listening to a lot of blues stuff at that point in time. Mm-hmm. Wow, you know, and he pulled it off really well.
Yeah. Well, it's
interesting to watch this now, and some of the stuff I'm into right now is and Jan, you're aware of some of this, and certainly Phil is. The idea of abstracting yourself out of it and just letting it happen, just letting the music, if you can get your mind out of what's going on and then just allow the experience to happen, then the music will take care of it for you. Mm. And I'm seeing this with Mike, and certainly with Vassar, and with Sam. I mean, they're you can tell people that are concentrating on what they're getting ready to do next, and people who are just feeling it. And that's pretty obvious. There's a big contrast, and it's very visible in this video. So, I'm glad we watched that.
I'm looking for a link to something. Yeah, you played here. It's a little maybe off top, or not off topic, but I mean jumping maybe in, as far as the chronology of things go. But here is something that I want to see if can you see Okay, I have to share again.
Jan, are you guys celebrating Christmas?
We try to keep the spirit of Christmas here. Always here. You know, that's not, you know. So here is an interesting clip here. Chris, can you see this?
I sure can.
Okay, you recognize what this is?
Oh yeah, I know exactly what that is.
How did you end up in this mess?
So, just to be quite frank and honest, I'm on that stage right there because Norman Blake had a conflict and couldn't do the session.
Well, nothing wrong with that. So let's take a listen. This is Willie Nelson, Whiskey River.
Whiskey River, take my mind. Don't let her memory torture me. Whiskey River, don't run dry. You're all I got, take care of me. Whiskey River, take my mind. And don't let her memory torture me. Whiskey River, don't run dry. You're all I got, take care of me. I'm drowning in the river, bathing my memory mind in the wetness of the soul. Feeling the amber current blowing from my mind, and the warm and empty heart you left so cold. Whiskey River, take my mind, and don't let her memory torture me. Whiskey River, don't run dry. You're all I got, take me. All right, sir. All right, Chris Johansson. Russell Paul on steel. service on the pasture. Mickey Raphael on the harmonica. Singing with me. Whiskey River, take my mind, and all the memories of you. Whiskey River, don't run dry. You're all that can take care of me. Whiskey River, take my mind, and all the memories of you. Whiskey River, don't run dry. You're all I got, take care of me.
Well, that was pretty cool. With he forgot to introduce McCurry, Ronnie McCurry, I believe. But see, that was a fine, inspired playing there by Chris Sharp. How was that experience, Chris?
That particular show was that was quite a bit of fun. It was that's probably the best I've ever been treated on a show. I drove down to Nashville and put 2 guitars and whatever my stage clothes, whatever I was going to have that I didn't need in a backpack. And they carried it up there in a truck. Everybody did. You dropped all your stuff off, and then we got on a Southwest plane and flew up there. And by the time I got on the stage, my guitars were already there. Everything was set up. They had makeup people there, which I was not interested in wearing makeup at all. But, I mean, they did it anyway, so why not? So we all got made up. And, it was – that was the – Mike, have you played there before? Soundstage? At Soundstage in Chicago?
I don't recall being there. I don't think so.
It's one of those. The whole thing is red carpet all the way. I mean,
cool.
They've got one of the dressing rooms is just a makeup lady that's busy tuning up everybody.
Yeah. That makeup, that's not really doesn't happen too much, when you play the Bluegrass Festival circuit. That's
well, the more impressive part to me was when I walked on stage and both my guitars were already sitting there in tune.
Yeah.
That was.
Yeah.
That was impressive. I mean,
you saying you had not worn makeup before, but you've worn it ever since that gig? Is that what you said?
Hopefully, some of it washed off by now.
You don't just refresh it every once in a while, do you?
No, that was a one-off for me on that.
Okay.
And it was it really wasn't optional. I mean, I suppose I could have, rejected it, but they didn't really present it as an option. It was like, it's your turn. Come on in here and have a seat. This is about to happen.
Yeah, put the pan on this boy.
Yeah. And you mentioned hats earlier. Here's that one right there.
Oh yeah, that's a good one, Chris.
I paid $16 for this in I think 1994. And then I've had it. That's this hat's been abused.
It's worth at least 20.
At least. I think I might have. Well, maybe not. Maybe it's only. Nah, I'm just having a false memory there. I thought maybe I'd gotten John to sign that, but I've got one of his hats in the other room.
Wasn't that the session that went on before all of that trip took place? Wasn't that T-Bone thing?
Mm-hmm. Yep, you're on part of that record.
I was on the first day or so of that session, and I had another gig booked, and I couldn't get out of it. And after that, I told T-Bone I would call Ronnie. He didn't know Ronnie at that point, and had not used him on anything. And after that, I didn't see any more of that session. Ronnie got the rest of it, and the gig and the concerts. It just all went. I went, well, this is a bad time for me to be having something else to do.
I remember so the Ronnie and Stuart, and then it just worked out so that when Ronnie when you were there, Stuart couldn't be there, so you and Shad came.
It was Shad, yeah.
Yeah, you and Shad came, and then that record took several sessions to make. I mean, I went down to Nashville at least twice for it.
Mm-hmm.
And we did the Ryman, and we did that soundstage. Who do we have on fiddle? Stuart wasn't there at the Ryman. It was that Time Jumpers guy.
Kenny Sears?
Or Hoot has to?
Yeah. No, it wasn't Hoot. It was Kenny, I guess.
Kenny Baker.
Sears?
Yeah, Kenny Sears, I guess.
Yeah, I think he wears overalls.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
It's one of those fiddle players and the Time Jumpers that wear overalls. Anyway, he played at the Ryman with us, and then we did the Craig Ferguson show in L.A., and we did some sort of a thing in Las Vegas. Only time I've been to Las Vegas was on that tour, and I don't want to go back. The place is, I don't know if anybody's listening that's lived there, don't be offended, but for me, it wasn't a fit.
Well, it's very unlike like the Asheville area, that's for sure.
Well, it's just when I left the hotel and I went walking down the street, everything was gambling and hookers, and I was like, "This is just not it's not the kind of place I want to be hanging around." Again, if anybody's listening from Las Vegas, I mean you no harm. Just no. It's not my type of gig.
It's not a community for you. You want to live well. I mean, it's a good place to lose money.
Yeah.
You can't even eat at a restaurant without people in there like pulling slot machines.
Yeah, probably a good place to stay away for many of us.
Well, I totally understood the phrase "Sin City." If it ever meant anything, then I learned what it meant when I went out there.
Yeah,
that's probably a good place to see shows.
Barney Fife talking about going to Raleigh, that'd be the same kind of cultural shock.
No,
but
well, no. Keep in mind, by the time I went there, I mean, I'd already went through the whole Hartford thing. Mike was with me. Got to remember we're live and watch my mouth. Mike was with me when we went to New York when I went for the first time, and I remember I hadn't been to Japan before then. And I remember Mike telling me about Japan, and I was asking him, well, how is it compared to here? And he's like, you ain't seen nothing yet. Wait till you get to Tokyo. If you think present, wait till you get to Tokyo.
Yeah, it makes New York City feel like a small country town.
It does. I mean, you get up in Tokyo Tower and you look around and you're like, oh, well, over there's Manhattan, and over there's Manhattan, and over there's Manhattan, and over there's another one. There's like 6 or 7 Manhattans right there together.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't have the super tall buildings, but they sure do have a lot more of them.
Density.
Yeah. If you own just space enough or land enough for one parking lot, you can make a pretty good income. Parking, you know.
That's amazing. It's just what you get used to, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
I always felt like when I was in New York that I was looked at walk a block right down the street both ways, and it's like, wow, okay, it's just like buildings up this way. And the next street, look around, it's the same thing. After a few hours of it, it gets to feeling like I feel like a rat in a maze,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I have the same kind of cousin from the country kind of experience. If I go to like Los Angeles, I was there a few times. Same thing there. Although the downtown area is not too exciting, but the buildings sure were tall.
One of the things I learned almost immediately when I got to New York City was to keep my mouth closed.
It's probably a good idea if you're from Buncombe County, North Carolina.
That would have been good advice for a lot of other places we were too.
Pretty unusual.
Yeah, don't hold back, Mike.
And me too.
No, but I'd walk into a store in New York City, and I do it to this day. I do not open my mouth if I need something from a store and it's behind the counter. I'm pointing at it, like I just don't have the ability to speak. That's how I present myself.
You can say, "I have no English."
I don't sure.
Yeah, yeah.
And I made the mistake of going into one of those gift stores down there in Times Square, that sells little Statue of Liberties and the flags and everything. And I've never been so abused by a store owner in my life. He was just, man, he was mean. He basically chased me out when he realized I actually wasn't going to spend money. He just chased me away.
You're in a store.
I'll tell you what, there are hateful people everywhere. I remember we had a gig at that Delaware River Festival. So there's like in southern New Jersey. And we went to some diner there. You know, there's a million diners around there. And I asked the waitress for some ketchup, and she chewed me out so bad for no reason. You know, I'm used to North Carolina. It's a little, well, you can go out in the country and ask a waitress for some ketchup. She's not going to bite your head off. But that was really uncalled for. But
I think they've got some of that behavior in. Is it England? Where's the iced tea story? Was that England, Mike?
Oh, you mean about the one that Hartford used to tell us?
Yeah.
About tea with lemon and sugar and all of that stuff.
Well, they wouldn't give him ice. He was trying to make iced tea, and the lady refused to give him ice, and so he ordered it separately, and she kept eyeballing him, and
he got ready to put the ice in the glasses. She said, "Oh no, you don't."
Right. Yeah, they're probably. I don't know where they drink iced tea around the world. You've been to Australia. I have not. Do they drink iced tea there?
No.
I think it's mostly in the U.S.
It is.
Phil, do you have any opinions about iced tea? Do you? You probably.
I don't really drink it frequently.
You're not an iced tea man.
I like green tea.
Yeah. Well, that's very good.
Well, you could ice that up.
I could, but I don't.
What else do you do for fun?
Fun. Now you know I've got a coat upstairs that
Phil doesn't engage in frivolous activities.
I've got this long coat. I still wear it for all the gigs or anything where funerals, you know, anything like a funeral or a gig. It's basically the same suit. Yeah, I'm just sitting here remembering, Mike, you were with me when I bought that coat in New York City. We were up there at the premiere of Old Brother.
Oh yeah.
Carnegie Hall.
We've actually got a pretty extensive history of traveling around doing pretty cool stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought Mike would be a good fit here. Phil being your disciple and everything. So put a little quartet here. Yeah. Let's see. What time is it? Do you all want to do anything more or musical? Or Mike, you're an hour behind us.
Yeah, but I'm probably a meal behind you too.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, Chris, you want to continue a little bit? We can come back and do episode 2 or however you want.
It's up to you.
Yeah.
Whatever you'd like to do. I usually go to bed sometime.
Okay. Yeah. You used to go to bed early.
I try to be in the bed by 10:30.
Yeah.
It doesn't always work out, but when it doesn't work out, I really pay for it the next day.
Yeah. Well,
because I get up at the same time no matter when I go to bed.
Yeah. I have my breakfast around 10 p.m. So.
Well, Heidi's just made a big pot full of potato leek soup, so I'm going to go have some.
Do that, Mike. It's really good to see you always.
Yeah, I get smelling it coming under the door here, and I'm thinking, I bet these boys could handle this by themselves.
Hey, it's good catching up, Mike.
Yeah, it's good to talk. Good to see you, Phil. Next time you have to not talk so much.
Yeah, man. I haven't seen you since 2016, man, at Godfrey Daniels, but we'll have to catch up sometime, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
He'll talk your ears off now, Mike.
Yeah, I know. I'm dreading it already.
Well, Mr. Compton, tell your lovely wife or partner, Heidi, we said hello, and we'll see you soon.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, okay, see you.
See you, Mike.
Yeah.
Well, that was a nice surprise, Jan. Thank you.
Yeah.
Always nice to spend some time with Mike.
I know. You have a lot of history, as you said, together. It didn't work out with Toshio for a reason. I don't know. I never could hear him.
I wonder if he could hear us. He didn't react to anything we were saying, so I assumed he couldn't.
Yeah, it was hard to tell, but so how you the two of you, have you been collaborating throughout this last year? You've been doing stuff online. Have you recorded any?
Well,
daily.
Yeah, mostly I guess I just I'll call Chris and he'll play stuff, he'll record it, and I'll listen to it, and we'll kind of bounce ideas back and forth somewhat.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
Yeah.
Chris, you have anything you could play for the people, right, in some kind of form that would be easily shared with the people online?
I've got a song that's, I wouldn't even say it's in a demo state, and it's certainly not bluegrass. It's a bluegrass song, but it's not done in a bluegrass style. I can play along with that if you'd like.
Yeah, do that.
It's the old Flat and Scruggs number, I'll Just Pretend.
Uh-huh.
There's about 7 minutes of it, I'll warn you.
Okay, that's good.
And like I said, this is anybody that's looking for bluegrass is going to be unhappy.
Yeah, that's all right.
Let's see.
I have some questions for you both.
Turn off my vocal here. Could you hear that metronome pretty clearly before?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so my computer audio is tied into this chat.
Yeah.
All right. So you can hear this? Okay. All right, here we go. You spurned the love I gave you, darling. I love you more. Was proud to own. Now you found someone you love better, and in my dreams I'll walk alone. I'll just pretend I don't love you. I'll just pretend that I don't care. And when I meet you face to face, dear, I'll turn my head. I'll just pretend, yeah. By my bed, you know I got to forget you. To love you now, yeah, it's such a sin. That's a waste. All my friends, dear, they'll understand. I'll just pretend. I'll just pretend. I don't love you. I'll just pretend. You know I just don't care. And when I meet you face to face, dear, I'll turn my head. I'll just pretend. Those happy hours we spent together forever in. Yeah, my heart will live. That's all I have. For each tomorrow, though we may never meet again, I'll just pretend. You know I don't love you. I'm gonna just pretend. Yeah, baby, I don't care. And when I meet you face-to-face, I'll turn my head. I'll just pretend. Yeah, it just drones on from there.
Very nice. It could be a country hit, I believe.
I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it, but I have a lot of fun fooling around with it.
Yeah. I know you've taken some other bluegrass tunes and played, but what was that piece that we played really slowly? Was it tonight I'm sad, my heart is lonely. I wonder
Where You Are Tonight.
Yeah. Didn't we do it really slowly sometime?
Probably.
Yeah.
Do you remember, Phil?
No, I don't. I mean, maybe. I was. I know that you did your Cheating Heart pretty slowly with Jan on, I think, at least one of the live streams, but I don't remember I Wonder Where You Are Tonight.
Yeah. Yeah.
I could do that one if you'd like.
Yeah, I like that one. Phil, do you have anything you want to play or How is your singing coming along?
I sang a lot until about Christmas or so, and then I just didn't sing much after that. I did a session, and I only had to play guitar on, and I guess I didn't really sing much afterwards. But
well, you're welcome to sing one of the old numbers, or new numbers for them.
yeah, maybe.
Let's have one.
Why don't you do your cheating heart first? I'll get the guitar tuned or yeah.
Let's see. It's interesting that I can't remember this song because I listen to it on repeat all day long. I've got this other one in my head. I can't. That one's not going to come out easily right now.
Well, I think I know. I think it's time for Phil Lee to work, and he's going to do an old timer.
Yeah, let's see what happens.
I'm just being encouraging, not pushy.
Let's see.
Could we see your guitar?
Oh, okay. I didn't know you couldn't see it. All right.
Now we can't see you.
Let's see if we can fit them both in.
There we go.
All right, cool. Can you hear that drum?
Yep.
All right. Now as I gaze into your eyes, right there, you act so cold and strange, I wonder why. Could it be that you no longer want me? Tell me, have you come to say goodbye? Have you come to say goodbye, my darling? Was the love you promised just a lie? Why go on pretending any longer? Tell me, have you come to say goodbye? Dreams I've cherished so fade forever. If tonight you come to say goodbye, now I'm left alone with bitter heartache. Darling, please don't blame me if I cry. Have you come to say goodbye, my darling? Was the love you promised just a lie? Why go on pretending any longer? Tell me, have you come to say goodbye? Dreams that cherished fade forever. If tonight you come to say goodbye, now I'm left alone with bitter heartache. But tell me, have you come to say goodbye? Have you come to say goodbye, my darling? Was the love you promised just a lie? Why go on standing any longer? Tell me, have you come to say goodbye?
Hey, mighty fine there. That's
Sounded
good.
good.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Thanks, yeah.
it's getting better and better.
Appreciate that. Got a verse. So.
That guitar sounds good.
Yeah, this is the D18.
What year is that?
58.
Good year.
It's got a good tight sound.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting because for a long time I actually thought this guitar didn't really have that tight of a sound, but
It does.
get used to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You removed some frets up there, I think.
Well,
Is this your old guitar, Chris? No, it couldn't be, but it's.
No, my old guitar is probably under that plastic behind him.
I
yeah.
remember you had a guitar where you also, Chris, had to remove the frets up there, way up the neck.
Yeah, well, the guitar that was in that Hartford string band video that you posted earlier today, and the one that we played during the video,
Mm-hmm.
Phil's got it right there.
Mm.
Yeah. Yep.
Very cool. No. Well, I don't know, fellas, if you.
My guitars all over these cameras. I see one of my guitars behind you, Jan.
Yeah, it's a good
Yeah.
It's a good one. But I tell you, I miss playing in a bad way with y'all, and it's like just with people that it's this internet is wonderful, and we have all these can get together like this, but it's not like playing with people in the same room or same cancer or on the same stage or whatever.
No, it's not. But I was thinking the other day, I was outside walking. I get up and I walk every morning for 4 miles. It's the first thing I do in the mornings.
Wow.
And anyway, I was on one of these walks, and for the first time, it really, how things will dawn on you like really powerfully.
Yes, sometimes.
And I had one of those moments where it was like, wow, we're in the middle of this pandemic, but we've got the internet. And how much worse would this have sucked if we didn't, I would have lost my job, right? How could you keep a job if it weren't online, right? It's depending on what kind of job you have. My wife would have lost her job, and a lot of people did lose their jobs.
Oh, she did. I didn't know that.
No, I say a lot of people did.
I thought you did not.
She did not.
Oh, good. Oh, I'm glad to hear.
And so, I mean, it just hit me how fortunate we are to be going through this, at least some of us, with the internet.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, we're
you had to pick a time in all of known history to have to endure a pandemic. I mean, you couldn't have picked a better time to live through one.
That's right.
Assuming you have means to eat.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people, it's easy for me to say that and not and seem like I'm not sensitive to other people suffering. I am, but for a lot of people, this wasn't as bad as it could have been.
Yeah.
Due to our technology. I'm not trying to say this is wonderful. I'm just saying at least a lot of us got a good break.
I feel very blessed too, that Teresa has she's been working online for a year now. And she teaches, biology labs, so they had to change the whole way of their teaching those things. So she's been very busy.
well, I mean, we're able to do things like, you know, have this live stream, for example, and, you know, produce media just completely remotely that, you know, anybody in the world could watch. And, you know, there's some people, a lot of people are still able to go to school, still able to work, and never leave their own home. And you know, it's not hard for some of us to do, you know, to do daily things that a year ago would have required us to leave the house. But now, because of technology, we don't have to move all day, really.
Right. You can sit around and eat everything within reach, you know.
Yeah.
It's tempting.
So speaking of that that guitar I was talking about, that's it right there.
Yep, this is it.
Oh, okay. Great. How does
This is it.
Play something.
Hopefully I'm in tune.
An old fiddle number or something.
I don't. I'm gonna need to tune it.
Yeah.
This is.
From Westchester County, New York.
Yep. This is clearly the exciting part of the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. All right.
The guitar I used for those instructional videos.
Okay.
Yeah, it is. Oh well. Yep, it's in all of the rhythm guitar videos, instructional videos on YouTube, and
Old brother stuff on that one. I cut all the stuff I did with Hartford on that. Of course, it was the only guitar I had, so it's not like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in ninth grade, I didn't even know what you know, bluegrass or old timer country music even was, and in English class we watched "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou" as part of an analysis of the Odyssey.
Mm-hmm.
And to think that, you know, I had heard this guitar and didn't even know who Chris was or John Hartford or anybody.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't. You know, but maybe that movie had. I don't know. Maybe that movie was knocking around in the back of my mind when Lester Flatt's playing resonated with me. I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm. So that was the first time you heard any bluegrass similar in style to bluegrass. Is that with the movie?
Well, I think that was probably the first time I heard that kind of, you know, acoustic music, and yeah, and knew, and you know, it probably registered as some kind of country music at that point, but probably the very first bluegrass, I suppose, that I ever heard was there was this program on this TV show on PBS, and it was based on the Berenstain Bears, and the theme song had like the Punch Brothers on it, and I guess that must have been bluegrass. I don't know. There was a G run in it. I don't know what bluegrass is.
It's really a pretty meaningless discussion at this point.
Oh yeah, I think so anyway. Smile.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, well, Chris, why don't you do another number and then we can sign off here. And
Was you going to play one on that guitar, Phil?
I tried to cover your back there, but they didn't work. So.
Really spent all that time tuning on it.
Yeah, that's true.
I wanted to deprive him.
Let's see. What can we do? Gosh. Hopefully I remember the words to this one. Let's see. Let those brown eyes smile at me.
That's a good one. Yeah. Do you do any early settlers song? Like that, When There Is Moonlight on My Cabin?
I've heard that one. I don't know the words.
Of course, you
do us a little bit of that old sign up on a dotted line.
I only remember one line, and it's like the citation you have written. I don't think I'd want to try singing that song.
I'll tell you what, that's my favorite Curly Seckler song.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's because it's just I've never heard another song like it. Sign up on the dotted line, sweetheart, and you'll be free. I mean, that's a hell of a phrase, man. I mean, just like one little phrase.
Yeah.
I love Curly.
She's just her mommy and daddy's little girl. That one. Oh, let's see. I'm gonna make that a little slower. Now today I feel so sad and weary. I want a love that cannot be. All I need to make me happy. Let those brown eyes smile at me. Let those brown eyes smile at me, dear. That's what I wish with all my soul. Let those brown eyes smile at me, dear. Turn my blue moon back to gold. Now we've been sweethearts so long, darling, but now you're growing tired of me. The last time that we were together, those brown eyes didn't smile at me. Let those brown eyes smile at me, dear. That's what I wish with all my soul. Let those brown eyes smile at me, dear. Turn my blue moon back to gold.
Oh, yeah. That's the good old flat. See, that's with the dobro, so that's after 54 or so. You know what year it was recorded? 56 maybe?
Probably around mid 50s.
Yeah.
I don't know right off.
They had Paul Warren on the fiddle too, of course.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Well, Chris, you want to do a number here before we have to just prepare for another session.
Yeah.
Oh, prepare, you know, I don't know.
Phil, throw one at me.
Okay. How about My Tears Won't Show, the Don Gibson song.
Let's do something. If we're going to end out, let's do something up tempo.
All right, sure. What about Will You Be Lonesome Too?
Okay.
When was this recorded? Do you remember?
Hmm?
Do you remember when this was recorded?
This would have been recorded in sometime between 59 and 62, I guess. It was on that blue box set.
Okay.
Yeah.
How would you like me lonesome? Someone is through with you. My heart is sad and lonesome. Wonder if you're lonesome too. Wonder if you're lonesome too. I don't want you to cry 'cause I'm leaving. Don't want you to cry 'cause I'm blue. Only my thoughts make me lonesome. Wonder if you're lonesome too. Wonder if you're lonesome too. How would you like me lonesome? Someone is through with you. My heart is sad and lonesome. Wonder if you're lonesome too. Wonder if you're lonesome too. Now give me your right hand, honey, and I'll say this farewell to you. I'll be so lonesome without you. Will you be lonesome too? Wonder if you're lonesome. How would you like me lonesome? Someone is through with you. My heart is sad and lonesome. Wonder if you're lonesome too. Wonder if you're lonesome too. How would you like me lonesome? Someone is through with you. My heart is sad and lonesome. Wonder if you're lonesome too. Wonder if you're lonesome too.
Yeah, man. That's a good one. Too bad there's a latency, you know. But
Yeah.
you
Whoever's
still,
listening didn't hear my guitar.
no, I saw you turned your mic up. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna get my fiddle out or a mandolin or something, but of course it's no use. But
well, it's not useful, or there's no use for a live stream. But
right, for your own satisfaction. I mean, it feels good to play along.
Phil does this. He's got more experience than me. I mean, I just sit here and play, and then I suppose he does that the majority of the time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this is exactly like when Chris and I talk. Usually, you know, he'll just play, and I'll mute my mic and play along, and it's a great practice tool, and I feel like I've learned a lot just by doing that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Along with him, yeah.
And I get the benefit of not having to record and then listen to what I've done, because Phil's got really good ears, and so at the end he'll tell me, you know, ad nauseum what I did.
Yeah. He is the taskmaster, all right.
Well,
I'm just kidding. We love.
Well, the things that I point out, you know, half of them I can't execute. So, it's really it's really one of those things, though. I think that also I've learned from Chris. You know, you just hear stuff. At least for me, you know, I just hear stuff for a while, and you know, I'm not able to play it for a long time, and then, you know, one day, you know, sometimes even when I'm not thinking about it, I just I just play it, and I think, you know, that's a pretty valid. I think it's a fairly valid way to learn, especially among, you know, the sea of all these books that teach you hot licks and fiddle tunes and things of that nature.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, the rhythm is well, it's always, it sort of comes as a second thing. People want to play lead, and then they, you know, rhythm guitar is just something you play between guitar breaks. You know, that a lot of people have that attitude. You know, that's why it's fun to play with either one of you. Of course, I'm more used to it with Chris, but just to sit around and play fiddle tunes or something like that, you know, he doesn't get bored with that. A lot of people want to sing and stuff, and he does, of course, sing well, but he's no stranger to play some waltzes and stuff like that. That most people don't even know the chords to. You know, I mean, that's true.
Blankenship's Waltz.
Yeah.
Oh, I've gotten started on a recording for that, Jan.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that would be good if, you know. Well, y'all stay around. I'm going to just wrap this up and thank the many people who came here to visit with us tonight. Phil?
I've had to keep telling myself, since this interface is not Facebook, I've had to keep reminding myself that we're streaming live.
That's right. That's right. It's easy to forget sometimes. But we'll be back. I think Seth will be back next week, and we'll do something else. I think we have some previously unheard festival. I mean, this is actually WSM live shows with Flat and Scruggs and the Osmond Brothers, and perhaps Monroe too, that we're going to play next time. So that should be good. This is a tape that Seth just got a hold of a month or so ago. You know, so. But anyway, come back and see us next Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And thank you, everybody, and especially to you, Chris. We'll see everybody later.
Thank you, Jan, for having me. I really had a good time.
Good. Good.